You know, deep in the mountains of the South Caucasus, there's a geopolitical earthquake happening, and honestly, most of the world is completely missing it. We're talking about a small, ancient nation making one of the boldest, most dangerous foreign policy pivots of the century, and they're doing it right under the nose of a very angry, very distracted Russia. This is a story about survival, betrayal, and a desperate search for new friends in a world that feels like it's on fire. So let's break down how this is all unfolding.
This one sentence, it just captures everything. It's the core of the existential crisis facing Armenia. For 3 whole decades, their entire sense of security was built on a single promise from Russia, a promise that was supposed to be unbreakable. Well, that promise has been shattered. The umbrella is broken. And now Armenia is in a desperate scramble to build a new one before the storm really hits.
So, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll dive into why the old alliance failed in the broken umbrella. Then, we'll look at the very unlikely new players stepping up to help in forging a new shield. After that, we'll get into the radical new military strategy they're adopting in a doctrine of denial. We'll see how the whole neighborhood is reacting in the rattled chessboard. And finally, we'll ask the big question in the ultimate gamble.
Okay, so to really get why Armenia is now buying advanced weapons from places like India and France, you first have to understand this deep, profound sense of betrayal. It's a story about a security guarantee that, when the moment of truth arrived, proved to be completely, utterly hollow.
For decades, Armenia was a loyal member of the CSTO. Think of it as Russia's version of NATO. And the deal was pretty simple. Russia gets a military base in Armenia, and in return, Armenia gets an ironclad security guarantee. An attack on Armenia was supposed to be treated as an attack on Russia itself. I mean, this was the bedrock of their entire national defense.
And this timeline, it just charts a complete and total system failure. In 2020, during a brutal 44-day war, Russia was silent. Then, in 2022, with Moscow completely bogged down in Ukraine, Azerbaijani forces actually occupied territory inside Armenia proper. This was the moment, a clear trigger for the CSTO pact. And the alliance? They refused to even send someone to see what was happening. The final nail in the coffin came in 2023, when Russian peacekeepers just stood by and watched as Nagorno-Karabakh was ethnically cleansed of Armenians. The umbrella wasn't just leaky, it was basically a sieve. And there it is, the official admission. The Prime Minister himself called the country's entire post-Soviet security policy a strategic mistake. But that just raises an absolutely terrifying question, right? How do you replace your entire military ecosystem? You can't just go out and buy new guns. You have to rebuild everything, from doctrine to supply chains, all while your adversary is watching your every move.
And that brings us to the new shield. With Moscow out of the picture, Armenia turned to 2 completely unexpected partners. India, the world's largest democracy, and France, a core European power. Together, they're providing the brawn and the brains for a brand new Armenian military.
India has almost overnight become Armenia's #1 arms supplier. And this isn't just about business, this is deep, calculated strategy. You see, India views a strong Armenia as a vital counterweight to this growing alliance of Turkey, Azerbaijan, and their close partner Pakistan. For New Delhi, this is about projecting power and protecting its own interests in a much wider Eurasian game.
And the hardware they're sending is just perfectly suited for Armenia's needs. The Pinaka rocket system, it was literally designed for the Himalayas, making it ideal for Armenia's mountainous terrain. The Akash-1S air defense system is built specifically to destroy the kinds of drones that devastated Armenian forces back in 2020. And the ATAG's howitzer? Well, this might be the most strategic piece of all. By moving to the 155mm NATO standard shell, Armenia is methodically cutting its dependence on Russian ammunition, maybe forever.
So, while India provides the heavy metal, France is providing the intellect and the eyes. The relationship between France and Armenia has shifted from just symbolic gestures to hard security. Paris is providing the high-tech systems and, just as importantly, the modern military know-how that Armenia desperately needs to survive.
Now, this is how it all comes together. Armenia's biggest weakness has always been the threat of a surprise attack. These French GM200 radars are the answer. They can see everything, from fighter jets to tiny suicide drones hundreds of kilometers away. But here's the crucial part. The system can then cue the Indian Akash missiles to take out the threat. It's a really unique hybrid defense system. French eyes connected to Indian fists.
But this whole partnership goes so much deeper than just selling equipment.
The 2026 defense plan shows a really deep institutional connection. We're talking about France's elite mountain troops training Armenian soldiers. They're helping them rewrite rigid, top-down Soviet military manuals and shift to a flexible, decentralized command style, which is really the hallmark of modern Western armies. This is a complete cultural overhaul.
And if you needed any more proof of just how serious this is, just look at this visit. The head of India's entire military, General Anil Chauhan, flew to Yerevan. And this wasn't some sales trip. The whole point was what they called strategic institutionalization. He even opened up an Indian-funded IT lab at Armenia's military academy. It's a huge sign that this partnership is about building a 21st century military from the ground up, focused on everything from cyber warfare to drones.
So you've got new weapons, you've got new training, but to make any of it work, you need a whole new philosophy of war, and that is exactly what Armenia is developing. A radical, fundamental shift in its entire defense doctrine.
The shift here is profound. The old doctrine was called deterrence by punishment. Basically, the idea was, if we get attacked, we'll counterattack and punish the aggressor. That strategy failed catastrophically. The new doctrine is deterrence by denial. The goal is no longer to retaliate after the fact. It's to make the initial cost of an invasion so brutally high in both blood and treasure that the enemy decides it's just not worth it. It's a purely defensive mindset.
And this is the core idea, put as bluntly as possible. The plan is to use Indian artillery, French surveillance, and newly trained mobile units to turn Armenia's mountainous terrain into an impenetrable fortress. Not to invade anyone, but to make damn sure that no one can successfully invade them.
Of course, a pivot this dramatic doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Armenia's neighbors are watching all of this with a mix of fury, encouragement, and cold calculation. The entire regional chessboard is being shaken up.
Russia, predictably, is furious. Moscow sees the French presence as a kind of NATO Trojan horse in its backyard and is threatening economic consequences. Azerbaijan has called the whole rearmament provocative. But then there's Iran, which is quietly supportive. You see, Tehran is terrified of a land bridge connecting Turkey and Azerbaijan that would cut it off from the north. For Iran, a strong, independent Armenia is actually a strategic necessity. Even the US is getting more involved.
And this really highlights the incredible danger Armenia is in. Even as it tries to pivot away, Russia still holds a knife to its economic throat. Moscow controls Armenia's entire gas supply, and it owns its only nuclear power plant. If Yerevan pivots too quickly or too far, Russia could literally just turn off the lights. It is a tightrope walk with absolutely no safety net.
And this all brings us to the final critical question. This is a nation betting its very existence on a new set of friends and a whole new way of fighting. It truly is the ultimate gamble.
So the stakes really could not be higher. You've got a small nation of just 3 million people, abandoned by the one power it had relied on for its entire history. Now, completely cornered, they're trying this multi-vector strategy, building a security shield with pieces from India in the east and France in the west, hoping that the sum of the parts is somehow greater than the whole.
And this is the one question that hangs over everything: is it enough? Can this new shield, forged out of pure desperation, actually hold? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure: the era of Armenia as a simple Russian satellite is over. The era of Armenia as a sovereign player, fighting for its own place on the world stage, has just begun.